Welcome to the Daily Dish with New York Times bestselling author Leanne Ely. Putting vibrancy back into your everyday life and feeding your heart, mind, body, and soul. Join us every day at 1 p.m. Eastern for Motivational Monday, Tuesday's Tip, Wise Woman's Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday, Food Fight Friday, and of course Q&A, where no question is off limits, and Soulful Saturday. Here is your host, Leanne Ely, and the Daily Dish.
It's Friday. No, it's not. I'm just kidding. It's actually Wednesday. You know what that means? It's Wise Women's Wednesday. And I see wise women creeping on in here. I see June and Shauna so far. And I know that Amber is there. I know that Jenny is there. Who else is there? Say hello. Love to see everybody walking on in. Hello, Janet. It's been a minute. I'm glad to see you. There's our girl Lucy as well. So how about that? We are going to have a really good show. Today we're going to be talking about, we're back into, I've got a different journal this time I pulled out. Hi, Catherine, Lizzie, and Angie. Good to see you. I pulled out a different journal, and this is about, I'm going to be talking about motivation today. Haha, which is really funny because it's Wednesday. Hi, Noreen. So you know that first of all, you all know that the supplement of the week, right, is Leptofix. It's buy one, get one free. That is a massive deal. You're going to want to find out about that at savingdinner.com/show. I am a huge believer in Leptofix. And as a matter of fact, I just doubled down taking 2 capsules instead of the one recommended. And I've seen a great big huge difference. I would suggest that you check out this our show thing, and you'll know exactly why I say it's so great. Hey, Jackie, good to see you. Yeah, we got all of Vanessa's here. So is Sandy and Jocelyn. Yahoo! Good to see you all. And Kathy's here. Yep, we're all here, aren't we? We're all here in the house doing our thing. So today we're going to be talking about, believe it or not, motivation, because this is kind of, well, we talk about motivation on Mondays, but this is gonna kind of unpack a couple of things. This particular, let me see if I can find the date on this. Oh, of course not. 2018, there it is, right there. 2018 is when this little gem came about. So it's about 3 years old. So let's just have a little look-see and see what it has to say today. I'm really excited to share this with you. Jeanette and Deborah, very good to see you. Mary Ann, Denise, good to see all of you lovelies in the house. And you know, of course, that our success tools are all under the savingdinner.com/tools. This is where you're going to see the quote decks on very scanty terms. By the way, they're almost gone. Same with the mindful mug. And look at I did a quote deck roulette. This is the one that came up today. Old keys won't open new doors, which I totally love. I think it's wonderful. One of the best ones. It makes you think, doesn't it? Hi, Gloria. I look like Elizabeth Montgomery. I've been told that. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah, I can't twitch my nose like that though. The also at the tools is the Take Back Your Life journal. And this is, I'm going to just say, I think it's revolutionary because it's taking goals to a whole different level. It's combining them into planning for them and doing them daily and writing them daily and having them be affirmations and very intentional affirmation so that it rewrites your brain. I mean, that's what we got to do, right? You can find all of these at savingdinner.com/journal or journal, mug, what else? Quote, but they're all under the tools, savingdinner.com/tools. And there is our girl, Joanne. She's getting ready to move. We're sending you lots and lots of travel mercies. That's what they used to say in my church anyway. You took 2 today and noticed a difference? Vanessa. Yeah, you will. You will. It's just funny. You know what? This is what we do. And I will tell you, this is the minimum of whatever. But sometimes if you see something, if you're using something, and ask me, will it hurt me if I do this? The worst thing that's going to happen with any of our supplements anyway, you're not going to get jittery. You're not going to get any of that. The worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to end up peeing it out. So what if you want to see a marked improvement? Take another one, take an extra one, see what happens. You can do that. I promise you, you're not going to kill yourself or anything like that. Of course, if you're pregnant or nursing or you want to talk to a doctor or taking medications, talk to them as well. That's how that whole thing works. Hey, Juanita, she's listening while mowing. That's pretty impressive. Suzanne, hello. Very good to see you today. Anyway, so we have all of that. And I also have this fabulous quote, which is boom. Please don't, pearls, please. Pearls don't lie on the seashore. If you want one, you have to dive for it. Have you ever noticed that? You know what we want most in life just doesn't come easy. It's not just handed to us. There's no such thing. It takes a minute. Hello, Priscilla. It's been a rough 2 weeks. You know what? I just wrote you a little note asking you how you were doing. I'm so sorry. I'm sure we're going to keep praying for you. Keep taking your beauty support every single day, twice a day. Keep cups of bone broth as you want and do a perfect paleo protein shake once a day. That's going to make all the difference in the world. And I know you've got inflation, so take that as often as you need to. We've got you in prayer. You know that. So that's where we keep all of our little tools. And tools are cool, aren't they? I like cool tools, just like the rest of us. The other thing I wanted you to see is that we have really good questions coming this Friday. That's going to be a recorded Friday, by the way. It's going to be recorded. We have friends coming in for the weekend. Saturday it might even be recorded. And I do this on occasion, just simply because I want to give you the show that you're expecting, number one, and number two, just to squeeze a little time off and to do some things without having to run back in the middle of the day to do it. So if you will forgive me for that, that's probably what's going to be on the menu. But we're excited. We've got some of our very closest friends coming in from the Raleigh-Durham area, and they're going to be spending the weekend with us. We've got lots of boating and floating on the menu. It's going to be so much fun. Really, really fun. The last thing that I want you to do, so if you want to send those questions in, by the way, if you have a question for Friday, send them to support@savingdinner.com and in the subject line, question for Leanne on Friday. That way it gets to me, that way it gets put in the queue, that way you get your answer. How do you like that? That's what I have for you. Today is the last day to get your tickets on the early bird special. Yeah, hear me on that one? Here's the deal. We did this on purpose so that you would have incentive to do it early, right? But the ticket price goes up tomorrow. I don't care if it's virtual or in person. Now's the time to get on it. Just get on it. savingdinner.com/bloom, okay? At least get the virtual. You can always upgrade. And I'm telling you, you're going to want to be there. The theme this year is from fear to here, okay? From fear to hear and answering the call of your heart. What your purpose is, even if you don't know what it is. It's going to be really amazing. We're going to be doing vision boards, and the stuff that we have planned is it's going to be off the hook. Being here would be really spectacular. So if you've never done anything like this, I'm double dog daring you to do it. How about that? And then don't forget too, you want to come to the gala, which is next month. That's July 13th and 14th. It's going to be at 1 p.m. on both days, just like our regular show. And then in the evenings on both days, it's going to be on Crowdcast. And we're going to, dress code is Razzle Dazzle, as you know. And we're going to be looking all super fly. We are, with all of our Razzle Dazzle. I mean, I have earrings and I'm going to make my hair so big. Such big hair, sorry about that. But I am telling you, it's going to be fun. We're going to do all kinds of things. If you haven't been to our galas, that was a huge success last time. We're doing it again. It's our midsummer splash gala, whatever. Hi, Corliss. Hi, Teresa. That's Terry. Right. I know that. Why not? And you need to make your reservations on Crowdcast on both days, not just one. You don't get it automatically for just one or the other. You have to sign up for both. And you're going to want to. So that's what I have for you today. We're done. Not really. No, today I want to talk a little bit about this whole thing on motivation because, we talked yesterday about fear a little bit and just how our decisions and our choices and all of that come together and change, and have the ability to change our mind should we decide that we want to. But we're also, always looking for that intrinsic, where's, my motivation going to come from? And we always know, and you always hear me say, it's not going to come knocking at the door. So I kind of want to take you through a couple of things because, this is stuff that the random thoughts, but maybe something here is going to stick with you. I put all these different things, and I must have read a book or something, because it's just this thought here and this thought there. There's no continuity here, but it's just sort of how I started to see things. And I told you, 2018 was such a rough year for me until I made a decision to do something different, because what I was doing wasn't working. Not at all. And it seemed like the harder I worked, the more frustrated I got, the more upset I got, the more depressed I got. And it wasn't really, it wasn't a good time. It wasn't a good time. I had, I was always Miss Smiley Face and what have you, but inside I was just, everything was terrible. So I wrote the first sentence that says, freedom leads to our higher selves, ambition, growth, happiness, and transcendence. I love that word transcendence, because transcendence means that we're going from one level all the way through another. It's sort of like an ascension, transformational word all combined. Isn't that so beautiful? Transcendence. It's beautiful. But fear causes us to skirt around challenges. We don't take them head on. Have you noticed that? But fear is because we don't like the confrontation of it. We don't like the conflict. We don't like any of it. We avoid it, and we avoid the struggle. We avoid all of it. We're thinking, oh no, struggle's bad. We don't want struggle because struggle's just awful. Well, and when, you've heard me say this before, you have the option to either get on and stay on the struggle bus if you want to, or you can just acknowledge the struggle and then just say, now it's time for us to move through that and to start, feeling it and start, figuring it out. And we always have to figure things out, that I don't know of a single human on this planet that's ever had everything just laid out for them. And it was just like, and then the next step is, do-si-do your partner. And it's like, yeehaw, it's easy. It's not. Life is inherently filled with all kinds of stuff that we have to deal with, multi-layers of stuff. And this conflict and all this other stuff, it's just part of it. And when we skirt around and avoid, it doesn't make it go away, does it? I mean, it certainly didn't for me. But in the struggle is where the growth happens if we allow the struggle to do that for us. We have choices there with the struggle, I believe. This is how I look at it. And, I'm going to give you a birth story, too, that really kind of illustrates this. With my first baby, it was difficult, very hard labor and all of that. She ended up being a forceps delivery. And I was just exhausted and everything. I crashed afterwards. They had to adrenaline hit me and all of that. I mean, it was just very long, protracted labor. With my second one, which was less than 2 years later, it was a whole different thing. And I would just remember the struggle of this whole thing and the labor and how it felt and everything. And my mother-in-law and husband at the time were having an argument. And I'm sitting there I'm in labor, right? They're having this argument. And I asked them, and the nurse came in and she smelled like onions, and she was just awful. And she said to me, oh, well, this is taking so long. You're not advancing at all. And I said, you know what? My body's done this before. I just need a minute. And then I told my husband and mother-in-law, I said, can you guys just leave the room for a little bit? And I asked the nurse to just turn off the lights and leave me alone. I did. I shut everybody out. And I went with the struggle. I went with what was going on in my body. I blocked out all of this, peripheral noise and just went with it. And I visualized that this baby was making his way down. He knew what to do. My body knew what to do. It was just, I needed to visualize it. And then all of a sudden, I just started to fall asleep, and I was just praying a lot at the time, I remember, because she was saying, well, maybe it's time for a C-section. I went, whatever, which, right? And I called her 20 minutes later and I just said, I'm ready to push. And she said, oh, you can't possibly. And then she looked and she said, oh my God, we need the doctor. Here came Peter. I embraced the struggle instead of fighting it here and fighting it there and fighting it here. I believe that our bodies do this. Our bodies prepare and help us along the way. And when we cooperate, we're going to get cooperation, obviously. And Peter was born 20 minutes later. Everybody came running and boom, 2 pushes later, out he came. So that struggle, is literally where growth is born. The struggle is where things happen. Should you embrace it? Should you maybe lean into it a little bit and just say, okay, super uncomfortable. I don't like this, but is there a lesson here? Is there something I can glean from this and put in the experience file? Because when we're skirting around and avoiding things, it doesn't make the conflict go away. It's still there, part and parcel. And, but this fear creates greater weakness in us, I think. It does, because the weakness that we have, maybe the weakness that we're struggling with and all the things that are going on, it puts us to this place of maybe having to conform and put on a happy face. It puts us in this place of, or later on, having huge and great regret that maybe I could have been a contender. Remember that? What movie was that, by the way? I could have been a contender. I had that for a long time. I don't know if I told you this story, but I got called by Food Network. And, after examining the phone call that I had from them, and of course, a big, gigantic cockroach landed on my head. It's no lie. And my kids came in screaming, it was one thing. I was trying to have this conversation. Said they loved my show idea. They loved everything about it. And I could tell that there was what was it? They said, there's not very many people who have the it factor. You do. That's what he said to me. And I said, great, let's have a show. And he said, well, I don't know if you're right for it. I don't know if you're right for this. And I sat back and I thought, what's going on here? It was my weight. It was my weight. My weight held me back. There it is on the waterfront. Well, Marlon Brando. Yep, that's it. Thank you, Teresa. My weight held me back. And I never wanted to look at that. And I thought, well, look at, I started naming off all the people who were heavy, who had shows and everything. So I look at that and I think I was unwilling to confront. I was unwilling to say even to this guy, look, I'm working on my diet right now and I'm losing weight if that's what it is. Or I was unwilling to go there because I was all conflicted and all over the place. It was like having Peter again. I had my mother-in-law and husband arguing over in this corner and a nasty old nurse over here. And I just needed peace and quiet so I could concentrate and bring in my best. And I lost that opportunity. Duh, you guys know that. I never did have a show. But when we allow fear to conduct business with us, shall we say, and run the show and keep us away from the conflict and put us on the struggle bus and shut the door and all of that, we lose out on our opportunity for a destiny that we want and a legacy that we want to live behind and live at the very same time. And it's won through 2 things: freedom to let go of all these things, and also the struggle. Because the struggle is what births babies. The struggle is what births countries. The struggle is what births a new understanding inside of you. We see this with butterflies. We see this with chicks. And you know the story of if you help a chick out of the egg, the chick will die. Same with a butterfly. They need that struggle because that's what helps their wings, literally, and pumps the blood through and gets rid of the fluid. It does all kinds of chemical things. The struggle is where things are born. So we don't have to, get on the struggle bus, but we have to embrace the struggle and say, okay, this is hard. This is really hard, but it doesn't have to be where I live at all. It doesn't have to be where I live at all, because fear creates a very familiar dissatisfaction. Am I right? It's very predictable. And it creates also a demise. You can see the end of all of this, right? It's so true. It is 100% true. This is what happens when we're allowing ourselves to allow fear to run the show. We still have control. We just haven't taken it back. So here's the thing that I have written down here, that motivation can move us in two ways, right? Toward complacency, sameness, and shrinking back, frustration, or as an opportunity to go forward, to rise up and to accept the challenge. Because that's what it is. It's accepting the challenge. This is hard. Someone comes to you and says, hey, you need to do this. Like our Jerry, who just ran a 5K. She accepted the challenge. Those of you that were in the Hot Melt 30, you accepted the challenge. Was it hard? Was it easy? Was there a struggle involved? Of course. But you embraced it anyway, and you said, I'm going to do it anyway. Was it perfect? No. Was it excellent? 100%. Yes, it was 100%. When we allow for that and allow for the ups and downs and allow for whatever it is, that's when we start to see the way out. That's when we start to put together solutions and the creativity comes. That's when it happens. So what we choose then is based on what we want. Do we want fear, or do we want freedom from the fear? Understand there is struggle. Understand there is struggle always with getting something a level up from what you want, from where you are and where you want to go. Always. It's work, it's work. But there's compelling reasons often that move us forward while fear keeps us in a reactive place. And if we're reactive, what happens? A lot of times we get paralyzed with fear and we don't do anything. And doing nothing translates into what? 0 results. Regret later. And just this unwillingness, this untenable life of huge regret. It's really no fun, is it? So this mystery of motivation and how it comes into us oftentimes comes with just trying something out even when we don't want to do it, allowing the confidence to build from doing it, and then having the momentum come along. And, to not have that, the fearful, what are the fearful slaves of? And I mean, really, it's shackled. They're shackled to impulse, to aimlessness, to apathy, and just feeling horrible. That's fear. That's what fear brings with it. Fear doesn't have one good thing to offer. It doesn't. The only time we should ever have a good reaction to fear is when we see a bear trying to eat us, or we need to supernaturally lift a car off a child or something like that. That's the only time fear can really do anything to help us out. But otherwise, it's captivated us, and it's taken away from our lives and from the vibrancy that we want. So sustained motivation is characteristic of freedom lovers. And, that's just what I want: the freedom to love my life. I want the freedom to have vibrancy in my life. I want all of these freedoms that are attainable and available, but they're not if fear is going to be running my show. Just plain simple like that. We were talking about it. Mark and I were talking about when we were buying this house, and just like, oh no, and what it should be about, and should we do this, and the conversations that we had about it. We came this close to not doing it and thinking, oh, we just need to wait. Came this close, and then instead of fear, what we said, we started the what ifs. We started to be solution oriented, and can you see and can you imagine? I started to say, but my vision board. I started to say, but this is what I see. This is what it could be. And not just for us, but for everyone, and for the first time in September, I'm going to be opening the doors. Exactly what I had imagined, exactly what's on my vision board. And here we are, that's the whole difference between loving freedom and loving fear. And I know nobody loves fear, but that's the thing that's embraced. That's the thing that's focused on, and that doesn't have solutions attached to it, where freedom does, because we start to see that there is attached to freedom, there's solutions, there's creativity, there's the figure-outableness of everything. That's what I see. So apathy and aimlessness and not starting can all be wiped out by motivation, the correct motivation, for the motivation for having freedom in their lives. Freedom to put on a bathing suit and go swimming in the lake. Freedom to embrace your life. Freedom to love your children. Freedom to love everything about your life, your career, your pets, the travel that you want to do, and being able to do that because you've made that a priority. You made this the motivation to do this, to be a freedom lover over a fear lover. Does that make sense to you? I hope so. So motivation is the reason for the action. And I'll tell you, motivation right there, that's a choice and it's a decision. And when we decide, instead of waiting for freedom to come, that that's what it's all about, then we have the opportunity to bounce off of that and to allow the confidence then to carry us. And the confidence then creates more motivation, and then the motivation creates momentum, and off we go. And we start to have success, a little bit here, a little bit there, and not doing it perfectly, but certainly doing it excellently. Not paralyzed with fear anymore, not held back, not allowing fear to make the dictates of what our life's going to look like. The motivation of freedom is everything, because freedom, you get to dictate exactly what that freedom looks like. You get to make choices and decisions on what that's going to be. Just lining these things up in a row. That's what it's about. So I hope that made some sense to you. I know it was just sort of random stuff, but these were things that I felt was powerful enough that I put it in. I've got little stars and check marks and dots here. So I always go back and read these things and went, yeah, you know what? This is great. Because here's another thing that I wrote, that the power of the mind is the key to unlocking potential. Thinking, understanding, and then doing regardless of the challenge. Thinking, doing, and thinking, what is it? What did I say? I missed it. Thinking, doing, regardless of the challenge. Because it's all in your hands. It's in your mind. It's in your life. And you're the one who gets to choose whether or not you're going to push the button or not. That's simple. Another journal entry down the hatch. How about that? Oh my goodness. All right. Well, listen, I want you to all have a fabulous rest of your Wednesday. And thank you so much for showing up. And if this helped you, share it. You can do that. Thursday is tomorrow, everyone. And by the way, we are starting the sprint on Monday. Did you know that? If you want to watch the sprint replay and kind of get yourself refreshed and ready to go, savingdinner.com/sprint to go get it. Teresa, I so love her name. Thank you so much. I'm glad that helped. I'm glad you found that helpful. It's time for us to rise up as women, though, and to live our full and vibrant lives. And we get to do that when we drop the fear in favor of the freedom. And I don't know about you, but I want all the freedom I can get. So Monday we start. Who's with me? Pinkies up for the sprint. savingdinner.com/sprint. Get all the down low, everything. And I'll tell you what, we'll see you tomorrow for Thirsty Thursday. In the meantime, go get yourself signed up for the sprint if you haven't already. All right? Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. You can find us on YouTube on the Saving Dinner channel or on the Saving Dinner Facebook page. Check back daily for new episodes, Monday to Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you missed the live show, you can watch the replay. Until next time, pinkies up.